Hello and welcome to another gear update. Today we're going to be speaking about something that will inevitably end up in your shooting kit if you're really serious about precision shooting, and that is a bipod. Now we're going to be talking about something in particular today. We're going to be talking about the Javelin by Spartan Precision, and I think I'm qualified to talk about bipods and give my thoughts on each because I've really had experience with quite a lot of them. I thought I'd just run through some of the bipods that I've had experience with before, starting on the kind of low end with the knockoff stuff. I started with all the knockoff Harris bipods like most people do. Then I went to the higher class knockoff standard Harris bipods. Then I went to the proper Harris bipod, and from there went on to the kind of more expensive, more versatile bipods like the Atlas with the knockoff Atlas, and then the real Atlases, another real Atlas. Then we've got this Atlas, which has a wider footprint for precision shooting. Then onto something like the Modular Evolution bipod, which is an Atlas with carbon legs. Then the AccuTac bipods, which are fantastic for shooting off a bench, but are a little bit heavy for other uses. The very wide, very adjustable AccuTac bipods, which are excellent for competition shooting, bench shooting, long range shooting, with that really wide footprint and low support so that your recoil impulse comes straight back. And then obviously some of the kind of sitting bipods for shooting out in the field, like this Vanguard Equalizer 2. So I've had my experience. I know how these shoot, and it's very hard to pick a favorite simply because there isn't a bipod that can do everything. You have to choose between something that's lightweight and compact and something that's heavy and strong and capable of giving you that wide footprint. You need a bigger bipod to do that. So for certain applications, for example, I would take an AccuTac for bench shooting because it's very heavy, very strong, very firm, and very, very adjustable. And then maybe for walking in the field where I need something more versatile, up until now I would have taken a straight Atlas bipod, which is pretty compact, pretty light, but firm and capable of doing everything. But I noticed a few years ago, I think it was on Field Sports Channel, I saw an interview with someone called Rob Gearing, who owns Spartan Precision, and he was speaking about the fact that he realized there was nothing out there that was really able to do everything, or there wasn't a system out there that was able to do everything. And he spoke about how he started up the company Spartan Precision, started making his own bipods, and then started selling them, and how he came up with an entire system that you can use for all purposes. So for example, if you have a system where you've got one of these sitting on your hip, you can see the carry case over here, the Javelin. You have it on your hip, you can have a big tripod in your backpack. You can decide when you get out in the field and you're in a shooting position and you see an animal or you need to take a shot for any other reason, you can decide, do I need to be down low taking a prone shot, or do I want to be standing, or do I want to be sitting? You can take out the necessary bipod and you can fit it your gun quickly and take a shot. Rob wanted to have a system that was capable of doing everything, and when I saw this I was very interested in it, and very recently I decided to actually contact Spartan and see if they were interested in sending me something to check out, because I really liked what I saw. If you go on the Instagram page, you'll see Rob out in nature, hiking up mountains in all over the world, hunting, and kind of in all kinds of terrain, putting his gear that he makes to the test. And that's what I like to see. So this is what we're going to talk about today, the Spartan Javelin bipod. We'll also talk about some of the other products from Spartan, because I think they kind of all under the same blanket, and if you get one of these, you're going to want to consider getting the others as well, because they work as a system. But let's get started on this one. So let's put all of these aside for the time being, because we don't really need to speak about these now. Let's just push them all in the corner here. And let's look at the Javelin. Now, the Javelin came in this really nice hard case with foam cutouts on the inside where you can store all the bits and pieces. As you can see here, there's all kinds of little attachments and stuff. Now, you'll want to firstly attach one of these to your gun. You'll see there's a piece here with a rubber foot, and this can fit onto the base of your gun, as you can see here on my Wildcat. And what's nice about this is it's actually got a stud where you can fit your sling. What's awesome about that is you can, with the bipod off, sling the gun over your shoulder, walk around with it, and you've got nothing sticking in your back. That was one of my biggest issues with most of these other bipods. I hated leaving them on because you walk around long distances. It's not only extra weight in your shoulder that could be on your hip or in your pocket or in a backpack, but it digs into your back and it just becomes quite awkward and uncomfortable. So this you're able to take off easily, and that footprint's nice, it's low profile, and it's got the stud on there. So it's one screw that attaches it in, and it's a nice low profile gun. You can also have other attachments, like for example, on this gun over here, my Streamline, I've got a Picatinny rail on the chassis. So you can see over there, I've got the attachment at the bottom of the Picatinny rail that also came with my bipod. And it's as simple as taking the bipod out of the sheath over here, and you can see it's actually magnetized. So I can flick it open and I can attach it like that, which gives it a bit of swivel, or I can attach it the other way, and there's a cutout there that once it's in, it will stop it from swiveling, which makes it a little bit more firm. Once it's on there as well, I can take the cant adjuster, I can loosen it up to make it really loose, or I can lock it down, or I can put it somewhere in between so that I've got a bit of movement side to side and I can set my cant. It's a solid bipod, it's very firm, the carbon fiber is extremely strong, the aluminium is extremely strong, and I can actually turn the legs here if I want to extend the legs outwards in any way. I can loosen them up here, I can pull them out, and then I can turn them to tighten them again. And I'm quite impressed with how strong this system is here, and we'll talk about that a little later, but there you go. Move them in, move them out, tighten them down, and you can set your legs where you want them, and you can easily take the bipod off when you're done shooting and put it in the sheath again and lock it up, which is fantastic. Really like the setup. The rubber footprints themselves come in a number of different shapes. You can have one that's slightly rounded to fit a slightly rounded stock. You can have one that's less rounded, and you can have one that's completely flat. So depending on what the shape of your stock is, you can choose a rubber footprint, and it'll contour to your gun, which is fantastic. And then obviously you've got different screws. So it comes with a wood screw, comes with something that's more for metal, and you can choose what you want to use, and you can tighten it down, and that's the piece that your bipod's going to click into. So I mentioned that the bipod has a nice leather carry case that you can put on your hip. I really like that. It's a beautiful piece. It's solid. It doesn't make a noise when you open it up. It's nice and quiet, and the bipod's not going to fall out. So you can hike around with this everywhere. Instead of having the bipod sticking in your shoulder, you can have it on your hip, and it's just really, really light, so it's not going to bother you in any way on your hip while you're walking around with it. One more thing to show you here, on the foot of the bipod, you've got a rubber protector. If you take that rubber protector off, it exposes a sharp, hard stud, which will obviously help you to get grip in the ground or on the rocks if you need it. And it looks like this can actually unscrew, which means I'm guessing that you can put other footprints on if you really want to, but I don't really see a need for my personal use. I kind of like the rubber on here, it feels really good. Spartan also sent me leg extenders, which are fantastic. So if you need extra height for whatever reason, if you're shooting, I don't know, downhill and you need extra elevation, then you can put the longer legs on. Or if you want to sit down and you really need a lot of elevation, then you can use these very long ones. And as I said, these are very strong, they're very solid, they're not going to just fall off or break or anything like that. I'd go as far as saying that they're probably as strong, if not stronger than aluminium. They're really, really solid. So that is awesome. But we do need to talk about the other products from Spartan, because the Javelin, as great as it is, I think if you want to get the Javelin, you're going to want to justify spending more on the rest of the products as well, because it is the whole line that works together. And in my experience, you cannot simply take a bipod for shooting prone if you plan on hunting in mountainous terrain or in terrain where you've got long grass. the truth is you're going to end up in a position at some point where you're going to need to shoot off shooting sticks or leaning on a tree or something like that, and then this thing becomes useless. So in my experience hunting, I've often had to make a plan where I'm using my camera tripod with like a sandbag on top or something like that, which isn't really ideal. What's nice about the Spartan system is they've also got another product called the Sentinel, which is basically a bipod slash tripod, which is, kind of looks like a camera tripod. It's solid, it's quite big, but obviously being carbon fiber, it's quite light, and that's got the same magnetized stud that clips into your gun. So you can carry that in your backpack. Instead of putting this in, you can put the Sentinel in, and you've got that solid rest. And I believe they even make a product where you've got 2 extra legs that clip into the back 2 legs of the Sentinel and behave as a backrest. And I've shot with I think they call it a quadrupod or something like that before, quad pod, and I've never felt something so solid for shooting standing up before or kneeling. It's really, really solid. I think I took a 300 and something meter shot, 350 meter shot standing up on a springbuck with the quad pod, and it was perfect. So it's a good setup. And I think, Rob, being a mountaineer, he even designed it so that you could take the legs off, use them as trekking poles, or you buy I think it's a 500 gram tent. It's extremely light setup, and basically turn your tripod into a tent for camping in the mountains. So it's a system that can do absolutely everything. It's a system for outdoorsmen, guys who like to take things to the extreme and need the lightweight component and the strength and the weatherproofing, and I'm really happy with what I've seen from them. It's really, really cool. One more thing I forgot to add, and I can't believe I forgot this because it is probably one of the most awesome things you'll ever see, but there's a carbon attachment that actually clamps onto your sling that goes on your shoulder like this, and you basically unbuckle this and you pull the bipod out like that, and you can put it straight in your gun. So there you go, carbon fiber. This clamps on really, really easily, straight in here, solid click, closes up, and it's there when you need it. Super, super convenient, and I'm definitely going to be using this on my Wildcat in the future because it is so comfortable. It's awesome. So the functionality is there. You can see that. You can see that this thing is not going to fail on you, but it is rather expensive. So where do I stand on that? Well, firstly, these bipods down here aren't exactly cheap either. So that's first thing to look at. Second thing to say though is that I'm a firm believer that you should spend the money on quality products first time round, because I've had way too many experiences where I've decided to skimp on quality and rather buy something cheap, and it's actually led to me spending a lot more than I should because the stuff breaks, and then you upgrade to something slightly better and that you're unhappy with, and you end up buying and selling things a few times until you're finally happy with something and you wish you'd just gone with that original product in the first place. So what I believe you should find something that works for you, whether it's the Spartan bipod or whether it's one of these, but find something that's quality, that is going to last you a lifetime. Spend the money on that, get it right first time. You can see the graveyard of rangefinders here behind me. Those are all rangefinders that I decided I didn't need to spend money on, and I bought the cheaper options. They were failing out in the field, they were not reading properly, they were light sensitive, and they broke, and eventually I just got frustrated with them. Those all broke there, and I eventually bought a Leica, which was expensive but has lasted me perfectly over the last few years. I've only had to change batteries once. It's read out to past 1,000 meters, and I'm happy. Same thing with scopes. I'm sitting with my Night Force scopes on some of these guns here. They are perfect. I would have bought them all over again if I had to. No regrets there. So quality products are the way you should go, unless you're not sure if you're serious about the sport yet. But if you know you're serious about the sport, if you know this is a long-term investment, get the stuff that works. That's the way I see it. Before I end off, I do want to say that I'm not bashing any of the other bipod brands, and I'm not picking a favorite, because I do believe that a lot of these other brands out here are very, very good at what they do, or what they're made to do. For example, I would probably pick the Accutac over this for bench shooting any day. It's just a sturdier platform. And it is very hard to pick something that is all round perfect. So, take it for what it is. I just wanted to specifically speak about the Javelin today, because I do believe it is an awesome product that you should at least look at. I will put a link below. I don't know exactly where they're sold, but I'll put a link below to a website where you can just at least get a little bit more information about the brand, because I know not many people know about it. And you can also check out Spartan Precision on Instagram. There's some really cool posts there. You can see some of the crazy stuff that the guys at Spartan get up to with these products, and the different places in the world they go hunt and they go test these products. It's really cool to see, because you get to see that these things aren't made by some nerd behind a computer who designs it and gets some other Chinese company to manufacture it. These are made by someone who has been in the field for many years, in the military, hunting all over the world, and knows what is required for high performance precision shooting. So that's really awesome, and I'm going to end it there. I'm going to be visiting Spartan at IWA in a few weeks' time in Germany, so I'm sure there'll be some updates from there. Maybe I'll show you some more of the other systems like the Sentinel. Maybe we'll go camping with a tent or something at some point in the future. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.